YouTube. My name is Elizabeth. Welcome back to my channel, Bouquins and Books. In this video, I will do the birth year book tag. It was created originally by Ollie from Criminolly, and I was tagged about 2 weeks ago by Lindy from Lindy's Magpie Reads. Now, if you have not checked out their channels, please do. I will leave links in the description box below. I don't know how to speak anymore. It's the end of the workday. So, the questions are, before I go to the questions, this is about our birth year. I don't mind you knowing how old I am. That's not a problem at all. I am not a coquette. I don't want to pretend that I'm 28. I don't care if you know that. But I don't know much about technology, and I'm a bit afraid of giving out too much information on the internet. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to do the tag, but I'm not going to give you a number. So if there's a robot roaming around for information about birth year, there will not be a number that goes with it. So it will not be able to steal my identity or I don't know what. I don't know how these things work, and I certainly don't know how they will work. So I'd rather not take any chance, but I don't mind you knowing how old I am. You just have to Google the book, the books I will mention, and check out in which year they were published, and you'll know how old I am. So it's really not a matter of me not wanting to admit to my age. It's really just I don't want the number to appear in the closed caption right beside birth year. So it's that. So question 1, have you read a book published in the year you were born? Yes, I had to Google it. I had to check books published in, I'm not saying the number, and I did the same thing in French. And of course, it's not an exhaustive list that I found. I found lists of bestsellers, of award winners, and that sort of thing. And I found 3 books I had read that year. So if so, which is your favorite? My favorite of the 3, without any shadow of a doubt, is this one. The title in French is Pelagie la Charrette. The title in English is Pelagie, A Return to Acadie by Antonine Maillet. Now, this book won the Goncourt, the Goncourt Prize, which is the most important prize in French literature, and it won in the year it was published, obviously. And at the time, it was the first time that the Goncourt was awarded to a writer from outside of mainland Europe. So before this one, no Canadian writer had ever won it, and by the way, no Canadian writer ever won the Goncourt afterwards. But also, the Goncourt had never went to any writer from, I don't know, Haiti or Senegal or Morocco or any other French-speaking country. So this was a first. But anyway, this is a historical novel. It is about the deportation of Acadians after Britain or England at the time beat France in the 7-Year War. The British army decided, well, it's the politicians who decided it, but it's the army who executed it, decided to clean up, I guess, the land that was known as Acadie. And among other things, the city of Grand Pré was razed to the ground, just burned, and the people that lived there were put on boats, and the boats were just scattered here and there along the coast of what became the United States. So there was a massive deportation of the Acadians, and some of the people who were deported tried to go back to what is Acadie. And this is the story of one such woman. She had a cart and she traveled along the coast of the United States, not exactly along the coast, but she started, I think, from probably Louisiana or something like that, and made her way up back to what is today New Brunswick. So yeah, that is the basic story of Pelagie. So this one is my favorite. The other 2 that I read, the second one was, that would be at number 2, would be Flowers in the Attic by Virginia C. Andrews. This is a gothic novel, I guess. It's the story of a woman who goes back to live with her parents, but because her father never approved of her marriage or never approved of her having children, the children have to hide in the attic. Or perhaps the father never knew about the children. I don't remember the basic reason why, but basically the children were hidden in the attic and they had to make no noise at all. They couldn't be discovered because there would be disastrous consequences if they were. And they end up being raised in that attic all alone, raising themselves up basically. And that's the basic of the story. There are several books in the series, but yeah, I remember reading that one. And the third one, and it's it's not a recommendation at all. It's a book that I don't like. And yeah, I read it all the way to the end. It is The Executioner's Song by Norman Mailer. It won the Pulitzer for fiction. I don't know why, because this is perhaps because it's not, well, I don't know if it's researched or not. I suppose it must be researched, but it's some sort of journalistic account of the murderer Gary Gilmore. So not only is the main character not particularly interesting, but the reason that Gilmore becomes interesting is that he was the first prisoner not to ask for his this death sentence to be commuted. He asked to be executed by a firing squad. And that's what makes him slightly interesting. And that happens only at the very, very end. So it's a waste of time, really. I don't recommend that you read it. If you've never read it, good for you. It's an excellent choice. Next question. Have you read any books published the year you turned 18? Once again, I did the same thing. I Googled for books published in the year in English and in French, and I found a few more, but not that much more. I recognized many authors. I recognized more of the authors, but I hadn't necessarily read their books, or if I have read some of their books, it's not necessarily the one that was published that year. So some that I have read, the most famous of them. The first of the Harry Potter. So this Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, translated in French as Harry Potter at the Sorcerer's School. Anyway, so this is the first Harry Potter. I did not read it the year it came out. I read it somewhere between the publication of the 4th and the 5th book. I read the first 4 books in a row, and then the 5th one I had to wait like everyone else. So there's this one. And then for something completely different, there's Shame by Annie Ernaux. This one I read last year only. And Annie Ernaux writes very short memoirs. And this one is about a particular event that, well, it's not necessarily just about that. It's about a certain period of her childhood, which starts with that particular event. And it says, this is in French, so I am freely translating in English. It says, my father tried to kill my mother on a Sunday of June at the beginning of the afternoon. So that's how it opens. And yeah, that's a memoir about that event and what followed. And this one, yeah, maybe it's this one that I like the most. This is the 11th book in a series, and the 10th one was also published the same year, and I've read it too. So the 10th and 11th book of the series called Fortune de France in French, and the title in English of the first book in French is called Fortune de France, and in English it is The Brethren. So this is obviously a historical novel. In this book they are now in the 17th century, but it starts in the 16th century, in the 1500s, the middle of the 1500s, and it's about a family of small nobility, so just a baron who has some land but not too much, and they become Protestants, or they already are Protestants at the beginning of the book. So it's about the conflict of religion in France in the 16th century, and I think it's in the 3rd book that there's the famous massacre of Saint Barthélemy. Yeah, I don't remember exactly which book is about what, but it covers the period from, I would say, about 1560, let's say, all the way to the death of Mazarin in 1661. That would be the 13th book, would be the death of Mazarin. So this is an excellent series. I don't know if it's still in print. I think some aspects of it would not age well. In this book, there's one of the characters that is there since the beginning. He becomes a priest of some sort. So a priest of some sort. And he's always accompanied by a niece. And if you look at the niece, you realize it's a boy in a girl's dress. So it's a bit creepy. So that aspect probably did not age well. But the rest, it's super well researched and it's really entertaining. So if you can get your hands on this, at the beginning of the series in particular, the ending is a bit less. It doesn't get better with every book. It sort of dwindles a little bit. But the first few books, they are wonderful. So question number 3. Of the last 10 books you've read, how many were published before you were born? Notebook is there. Notebook is there. I forgot to prepare for that question. So the last 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 10. That brings me to Henry James, Portrait of a Lady, 1881. So that's 1. A Day in the Life of Ivan Denisovich by Solzhenitsyn, published in 1973. That's 2. Arabella by Georgette, published in 1949. And then I read another book by her, published in 1951. So that's 3, 4. No, 2021. A Study in Scarlet by Arthur Conan Doyle, 1887. So that's 5. 2021, 2000, 1989, and Emma by Jane Austen, 1815. So that's 6. 6 out of 10. Not bad. Very good. I don't know. Is it quality? Is it? Who cares? So it's 6 out of 10. I think it's representative of what I read. Is it? I don't know. It is what it is. It's 6 out of 10. Question number 4. Now we are going into movies. What's your favorite movie from your birth year? Now, note, it doesn't start by asking, have you seen any movies from your birth year? Because it takes it for granted. And in my case, it really shouldn't, because I watch very, very, very few movies. And it's going to become very obvious with the next question. So the year I was born, once again, I Googled movies that came out in the year. And I found a few lists of award winners and of highest grossing and that sort of thing. And I found 2 that I had seen. I have seen Escape from Alcatraz and Life of Brian featuring Monty Python. So this one, Life of Brian, is definitely my favorite out of the 2. And then question 5. What's your favorite movie from the year you turned 18? And that is where my that's where it shows how little I watch movies. So once again, I did the same thing. I looked for movies that came out in the year, and I came up with an article from Wikipedia, and there are the 10 highest grossing films of that year and the award winners and all of that. So if we take just the top 5 of the highest grossing films, so statistically, they're the ones I should have seen, because I'm not a movie buff, so I'm not going to go to see some sort of exotic movie that only 5 people on Earth will have seen. I just see the big blockbusters. So, of the 5 biggest blockbusters of that year, number 5, Air Force One with Harrison Ford. Haven't seen it. Tomorrow Never Dies with James Bond of, I don't know which one. I have never seen a James Bond movie from beginning to end. I've seen a few excerpts here and there. I think I've started watching 1 or 2 on TV and found them boring and stopped watching them. I have never seen a James Bond movie. Number 3, Men in Black with Will Smith. I have seen that one. Not at the cinema, though. I have seen it probably, on TV, obviously, but I might have rented it. You know, at the time when we went to the store and we rented a cassette tape and we had to watch it the same night, because if we did not bring it back the next day, we would be billed again for the exact same amount. Yeah, so maybe Men in Black was one of these rentals. At number 2, The Lost World, Jurassic Park. I haven't seen it. And at number 1, Titanic. I haven't seen Titanic. Think about it. How many girls, I'm going to talk about women in particular, how many girls who turned 18 the year Titanic came out and were not in a coma, were not sick, were not in dire poverty, were not in any particular situation that made them that made it impossible for them to see the movie. So just a regular, ordinary 18-year-old girl who hasn't seen Titanic. I'm one of them. I've never seen Titanic, and I don't care. I just don't care for that movie. I don't know, the premise never tempted me, and yeah, I've never seen Titanic. So any tag about movies, forget me. I have no answers. And that brings us to the last question, which is to tag per people, and 1 person for every decade that we have lived. I have lived 4 complete decades, so I'm going to tag 4 people. But it's not really tags. It's more shout outs, because the channels I'm going to mention, they don't really do tags. Now, of course, if you happen to be the creator of the particular channel that I'm going to mention and you want to do the tag, do the tag. You're welcome. But that's not really my point. My point is more to make a shout out so that the people who are not the creators, the general viewer, the average viewer, can go check out the channels that I'm going to mention. So it's really a shout out. I'm going to start with two channels that are in Canada, I think. One is Laureen from Books at the Bottom of the Stairs. I'm pretty sure she is on the East Coast in Nova Scotia. And Will's Infinite Library. For some reason, I think he's in Manitoba, but I don't know why, so I could be wrong on that. But yeah, check out these two channels. They are of similar to what I do. There's a camera and they speak and they talk about books. So that is, if you like my channel, there's a very good chance you will like these two channels. And then a third channel that is a bit different from mine is Ursula's Odds and Sods. I found her recently because she commented on one of my videos and I went to look and saw that there are a lot of videos on her channel that are very researched. It's most of the videos I watched are about Dante's comedy. So if you're starting to read it, as I am in Canto 2. I've read 2 cantos of Dante's comedy, and yeah, the videos that she makes are very much based on essays that she writes and that she posts on her blog. So they are very structured and there's rich in information and there's a lot to learn. So check her out. And then another one that I found this weekend, it is The Ritual of Reading, and the creator's name is Alexandra. And she makes beautiful videos. Now, this one has nothing to do with what I do. It's beautiful videography, beautiful editing. It's about books, but it's about lifestyle too, how books impact our lives, how our life can be inspired by books. And yeah, just go check her out. It's absolutely worth it. If you watch booktube videos on a giant screen, this one is worth watching on a big screen. It is really worth it. So yeah, those were the 4 channels I wanted to shout out. So thank you everyone for watching. I will see you in the next video. À la prochaine.